Hello, and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update in English. My name is Todd David Goldfinger, and here are today's top headlines. Thank you so much for being with us. As public pressure mounts for more information on the deadly Uvalde school shooting, some are concerned that Texas officials will use a legal loophole to block records from being released, even to the victims' families, once the case is closed. Since the May 24th shooting at a Texas elementary school that left 19 children and two teachers dead, law enforcement officials have provided little or conflicting information, sometimes even withdrawing statements hours after making them. State police have said some accounts were preliminary, and may change as more witnesses are interviewed. A number of questions remain unanswered by authorities, such as why did police take more than an hour to enter a classroom and confront the gunman? Question mark. What do their body cameras show? Question mark. How did law enforcement officers communicate with one another the day the victims, during the attack? Question mark. What happened when dozens of officers gathered outside the classroom, yet refrained from pursuing the shooter? Question mark. Next news. Phoenix, Las Vegas, Denver, and California's Death Valley all posted record temperatures on Saturday as dangerous heat swept across the American Southwest. The National Weather Service in Phoenix, Arizona, reported a temperature of 114 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 46 degrees Celsius, tying the record high for the date set back in the year 1918. Las Vegas tied a record for the day set in 1956, when temperatures soaring to 109 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 43 degrees Celsius. Mhm. The National Weather Service said there was a chance the high temperatures in both cities could rise even more. In Colorado, Denver hit 100 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius, tying a record set in 2013 for both the high temperature and the earliest calendar day to reach 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Next news. The death of a black teenager at a Kansas juvenile detention center was foreshadowed 5 years earlier by a state inspection of the facility that noted systemic deficiencies in its handling of children with difficulties, mental health issues, according to a federal civil rights lawsuit filed Monday. Cedric Lofton's foster father called authorities in September 2021 seeking help because the 17-year-old was hallucinating and needed to go to a mental health facility. Instead, what happened? Police forcibly took him to the Sedgwick County Juvenile Intake and Assessment Center, where he had to be resuscitated after he was held face down for more than 30 minutes during an altercation. He died 2 days later. Next news. Just like endangered Democrats in other states, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto is running against Washington. The Nevada Democrat, nearing the end of her first 6-year term, ignores the fact that her party controls both chambers of Congress and the White House, as she explains the rationale for her candidacy. In quotes, I'm running for re-election because you deserve a senator who will cut through the gridlock and dysfunction in Washington and deliver real results for your family. End quotes. Cortez Masto says on her campaign website, in quotes, I'll work with anyone, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to help Nevada's families succeed, end quotes. Cortez Masto, who will easily win her party's nomination for another term on Tuesday, is far from alone. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV, 24/7 Global News Network. Please stay with us. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update in English. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. Primary voters on Tuesday will decide the fate of two South Carolina Republicans who are clinging to their seats in the U.S. House after defying Donald J. Trump while in Nevada. An establishment favorite with the former president's endorsement is facing a tougher than expected challenge for the U.S. Senate. Meanwhile, in Maine, a bellicose former governor who once said he was Trump before Trump has come out of retirement in Florida to challenge a nemesis for his old job. Primary contests in South Carolina, Nevada, and Maine on Tuesday will offer the latest test of the Trump political brand. His brand. North Carolina is also holding elections through Republican U.S. Senator John Hoeven. Doesn't face a serious challenger. We'll see. Next news. A federal judge's acquittal of a New Mexico man in April was a rare blemish on the Justice Department's record of securing convictions in U.S. Capitol riot cases. More than 2 months later, a Delaware father and son hope the same judge will clear them too. Widely published photographs showing Kevin Seafried carrying a Confederate battle flag inside the Capitol building after he entered the building with his son Hunter. The Seafrieds were, in quotes, early, aggressive, and active participants, end quotes, in the Capitol breach. And among the first rioters to enter the building on January 6th, 2021. Prosecutors have said U.S. District Judge Trevor McFadden will hear testimony without a jury for the Seafried's bench trial, which is scheduled to start Monday. The family waived their right to a jury trial, which means McFadden will decide their cases. Next news. Donald J. Trump's former campaign manager, Bill Stepien, abruptly pulled out of Monday's appearance before the House committee investigating the January 6th riot at the Capitol, citing a family emergency. The panel said Stepien was expected to be a key witness as the panel delves deeper into what is called the big lie. The defeated Republican president's false claims of voter fraud that fueled his relentless effort to overturn the 2020 election, you know who we're talking about here, and led a mob of his supporters to lay siege to the U.S. Capitol that day. The committee said Stepien's counsel will appear and make a statement on the record, and it pushed back its start time as lawmakers and staff scrambled for the change of plans. Next news. Senate bargainers on Sunday announced the framework of a bipartisan response to last month's mass shootings in the U.S. A noteworthy but limited breakthrough offering modest gun curbs and stepped up efforts to improve school safety and mental health programs. The proposal falls far short of tougher steps long sought by President Joe Biden and many Democrats. Even so, the accord was embraced by Biden, and enactment would signal a significant turnabout after years of gun massacres in the U.S. that have yielded little but stalemate in Congress. Biden said in a statement that the framework, in quotes, does not do everything that I think is needed, but it reflects important steps in the right direction and would be the most significant gun safety legislation to pass Congress in decades. End quotes. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update in English. Here's the continuation of today's top story. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Day after day, Russia is pounding the Donbas region of Ukraine with relentless artillery and air raids, making slow but steady progress to try to seize the industrial heartland of its neighbor. With the conflict now in its fourth month, it's a high-stakes campaign that could dictate the course of an entire war. If Russia prevails in the Battle of Donbass, it will mean that Ukraine loses not only land, but perhaps the bulk of its most capable military forces, opening the way for Moscow to try to grab more territory and then dictate its terms to Kiev. A Russian failure could lay the grounds for a Ukrainian counteroffensive and possibly lead to what would be called political upheaval for the Kremlin. Thank you. Next news. India and other Asian nations are becoming an increasingly vital source of oil revenues for Moscow, despite strong pressure from the US not to increase their purchases, as the EU, the European Union, and other allies cut off energy imports from Russia in line with sanctions over its war in Ukraine. Such sales are boosting Russian export revenues at a time when Washington and allies are trying to limit financial flows supporting Moscow's war effort. A report by the Helsinki, Finland based Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, an independent think tank, released Monday, said Russia earned 93 billion euros, that's 97.4 billion US dollars in revenue from fossil fuel exports in the first 100 days of the country's invasion of Ukraine, despite a fall in export volumes in May. Next news, please. North Korean leader Kim Jong un and his top deputies have pushed for a crackdown on officials who abuse their power and commit other, in quotes, unsound and non revolutionary acts, end quotes. State media reported Monday as Kim seeks greater internal unity to overcome a COVID 19 outbreak in his country and economic difficulties as well. It wasn't clear what specific acts were mentioned at the ruling Workers' Party meeting on Sunday. But possible state crackdowns on such alleged acts could be an attempt to solidify Kim's control of his people and to get them to rally behind his leadership in the face of the domestic hardships. Some observers say Kim and other senior party secretaries discussed, in quotes, waging a more intensive struggle against unsound and non revolutionary acts, including abuse of power and bureaucratism revealed among some party officials, end quotes, the official Korean Central News Agency said. Next news. A report released Monday found that at least, get this, 196 clerics in the German Catholic Diocese of Munster sexually abused minors between 1945 and 2020, according to findings from other dioceses that have shaken the church in the country. The study, commissioned by the diocese in Western Germany and carried out over 2.5 years by a team from the University of Munster, pointed to a massive leadership failure, end quotes, during the tenures of the diocese's bishops between 1947 and 2008 in Germany, with officials covering up scandals or making only superficial kinds of interventions. According to a statement from the university summarizing the findings, in quotes, the bishops and other officials in the diocesan leadership were in some cases extensively in the know, end quotes, about the abuses. Co-author Thomas Gross-Bolting said. Oh, we're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories in English. Thanks for being with us. Britain's government is expected to introduce legislation Monday that would unilaterally change post-Brexit trade rules for Northern Ireland, amid opposition from lawmakers who believe the move violates international law. The proposed bill seeks to remove customs checks on some goods entering Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. That will override parts of the trade treaty that Prime Minister Boris Johnson signed with the European Union less than 2 years ago. Britain's government maintains the bill is lawful, but the EU has threatened to retaliate, raising the possibility of a trade war between the two sides. Next news. Brazil's search for an indigenous expert and a journalist who disappeared in a restive area of the Amazon a week ago advanced with the discovery of a backpack, a laptop, and other personal belongings of the men submerged in a river. The items were found Sunday afternoon and were carried by federal police officers by boat to Italia do Norte, the closest city to the search. In a statement Sunday night, police said they had identified the items as the belongings of both missing men, including a health card and clothes of Bruno Pereira, the Brazilian indigenous expert. The backpack, which has identified as belonging to freelance journalist Dom Phillips of Britain, was found tied to a tree that was half submerged, a firefighter told reporters in Atalaia do Norte. It is the end of the rainy season in the region, and part of the forest is flooded. Next news. Surely, many in the audience were thinking it, but company director Marianne Elliott said it most directly at Sunday's Tony Awards in the devastating 2 years since the pandemic hit. It felt at times that live theater was endangered, in quotes, as in the industry might never recover. The exuberant ceremony Sunday night was designed to answer that unthinkable possibility with an empathetic no, to make it clear that whatever the ongoing difficulties, Broadway is back with verve and creativity. And it's here to stay. It just needs more people filling the seats. But if the ceremony was meant to recapture the razzle dazzle of Broadway seasons past, marking the 75th anniversary of the Tony Awards with a dollop of nostalgia, it was also a celebration of groundbreaking work by a hugely diverse group of artists. The Marquee Award, Best New Musical, went to the highly innovative A Strange Loop. Gotta check it out. Next news, please. The NBA Finals are tied at 2-2. If that sounds familiar to fans of the Boston Celtics, it should. For whatever reason, when the Celtics made the NBA Finals 2-2, ties seem normal. And that's exactly where they are now, knotted up going into game 5 of this year's series against the Golden State Warriors on Monday night. This is the 13th time in Boston's 22 title series appearances that there has been a 2-2 tie headed into game 5. In the previous 12 such situations, Boston has won the title 9 times, but failed to do so in 1985 and 2020, the year. The last 2 times in which the Celtics were involved in a tied finals after 4 games. After 4 games, pretty good. 2-2 tie in the franchise's 12 finals appearances. The other was in the year 2015 when Golden State won Game 4 at Cleveland and then claimed the title in 6 games. Thank you so much for watching this program, The News. This has been the daily global news update of Millennium News TV 24. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites. That means Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers, now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment, our latest news, views, and editorials. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA on Android. Please tell your device to play the music of Todd Goldfinger. Also, you can Google or search Millennium News TV at millenniumtv24.com. Thank you for being with Millennium News 24. Have a great day. Peace, love, and God bless. Thank you.